Stoics lived through wars, plagues, and personal betrayals, yet they achieved mental tranquility through one simple truth. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters. That makes sense, doesn't it? Yet, how often do we fail to apply it when situations demand it? Often enough, isn't it? Hi, I'm Jason, and in today's video we'll explore 10 Stoic principles so that nothing can affect you. Now that's a tall order, sure, but let's rewind. Wars, plagues, personal betrayals. Add to that the absence of modern-day convenience, and suddenly you see that, for the Stoics, it was a taller order, a much taller order. How did they do it then? How did Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca remain unaffected by all things external in such turbulent times? How did they manage to apply the truth we seldom do? Join me as we journey into the heart of Stoicism to find the answer to that question. Watch the video till the end, and when you've done that, go to the comments section and leave a comment saying, "Nothing affects me," to affirm your dedication to remaining unshaken by all things external. If the teachings that follow this introduction resonate with you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this message. Now, let's become undefeatable. 1. Firm purposes. Epictetus taught that forming a firm purpose in life acts as a defense against external turmoil. When you clarify your overarching goal, be it living virtuously, improving daily, or serving others, you create a stable inner compass. This clarity helps you weigh each situation or decision against that central aim. You ask, does this align with my purpose, or does it distract from it? By doing so, you reduce the sway of fleeting desires or outside pressures, effectively insulating yourself from emotional upheaval. A firm purpose also fosters resilience. Suppose you dedicate yourself to being patient and kind in all circumstances. Minor slights or inconveniences then become tests of your commitment rather than personal affronts. If someone cuts in line or makes a sarcastic remark, you interpret it as an occasion to practice your chosen virtue. Instead of reacting with anger, you remind yourself that your goal is to remain equanimous. This self-reminder keeps you anchored, so external incidents exert minimal emotional pull. Having a firm purpose clarifies your daily priorities. Without a guiding principle, each new problem or opportunity can derail your schedule or rattle your peace of mind. You might chase after multiple goals, feeling scattered and anxious. By contrast, Epictetus advises you to identify what truly matters: character, moral progress, the well-being of loved ones, and filter out distractions. This deliberate focus cultivates an unshakable calm because you're less likely to be baited by trivialities. Yet, a firm purpose should remain flexible in its application. Circumstances change, and you may need to adapt specific tactics without compromising your overall direction. For example, if your job ends unexpectedly, you can shift to a new field while retaining the same commitment to hard work and personal integrity. The consistent purpose lies in the virtues you uphold, not in external markers like a specific title or company. Ultimately, a firm purpose serves as a cornerstone of Stoic fortitude. You learn to measure events by whether they hinder or support your larger mission, thereby minimizing emotional turmoil over inconsequential ups and downs. By grounding yourself in a moral or philosophical framework, you prevent the world's volatility from unsettling your inner world. This unwavering focus, cherished by Epictetus, stands as a key defense against life's unpredictability, ensuring that nothing can truly shake your resolve. 2. Guarding your mind. One of Epictetus's core teachings is that while external events lie outside our control, The judgments we form about them are entirely within our domain. Guarding your mind, therefore, becomes a foundational Stoic practice. By vigilantly observing your thoughts and reactions, you prevent negative or irrational patterns from taking root. This conscious oversight maintains an inner fortress that external turmoil cannot easily penetrate. To implement this principle, start by recognizing mental triggers. Perhaps you tend to brood over criticism or worry excessively about future outcomes. Epictetus would suggest asking, "Is this under my control?" If the answer is no, then you refrain from feeding anxious thoughts. Instead, redirect your focus to actions and attitudes you can govern, such as how diligently you work or how calmly you respond in tense moments. This shift disarms the emotional charge that often accompanies fears about uncontrollable events. Guarding your mind also involves filtering the information you consume. In modern life, constant news and social media streams can saturate your consciousness with negativity, fueling stress or anger. A Stoic approach might be to limit how often you check these sources or to engage with them more critically, always questioning whether they align with reason. By controlling the inputs that reach your mind, you create a healthier cognitive environment. A practical tool Epictetus recommended is moment-by-moment awareness. When a distressing thought surfaces, pause and scrutinize it. Ask whether it's based on facts or assumptions. If it's the latter, you can choose to let it go. Over time, this habit of mental spot checks helps you break free from automatic emotional reactions. You become less susceptible to ruminating about insults, disappointments, or hypothetical worries. Moreover, guarding your mind fosters emotional stability in relationships. If a friend acts coldly, you might initially feel hurt, but a Stoic reflection reminds you not to jump to conclusions or attribute malicious intent. You can remain open to alternative explanations. Maybe they had a bad day, thus preserving your inner calm rather than spiraling into anger or self-doubt. Overall, guarding your mind is a discipline of intentional thought management. By deciding which ideas to accept and which to challenge, you assert sovereignty over your inner landscape. Although challenges and provocations will still arise, they lose much of their power when faced with a mind trained to reject irrational judgments. This vigilance, practiced daily, ensures that external shocks find you prepared, thereby shielding your tranquility from the chaos of the world. 3. Handling criticism. Epictetus placed great importance on discerning between valid feedback and superficial criticism. In Stoicism, the primary concern is character development rather than external praise. However, humans are social creatures, and critique, whether from loved ones, supervisors, or strangers, can stir emotional turmoil. Learning to handle criticism with composure is key to ensuring that nothing disrupts your equanimity. Firstly, Stoics advise assessing the source and nature of the criticism. Is it a trusted mentor offering actionable advice, or is it a random online comment aimed at provocation? Epictetus suggests that rational feedback can aid in your self-improvement if you receive it humbly. In such cases, you filter out any harsh tone and focus on the substance. Does this critique reveal a genuine shortfall in your work or behavior? If so, treat it as a lesson. This approach shifts your perspective from defensive to developmental. On the other hand, if criticism appears baseless or malicious, a Stoic stance calls for calm detachment. Rather than reacting defensively or with anger, you recognize that the other person's judgment lies outside your control. Epictetus often said that if an insult is false, why be upset over a fiction? And if it's true, then be grateful for the correction. By internalizing this logic, you sidestep needless conflict and retain mental peace. Stoics also caution against conflating criticism with personal worth. Someone disputing your ideas or performance is not necessarily condemning you as a human being. If you take every critique as a personal attack, you grant external opinions far too much control over your emotional state. Instead, you remind yourself that your value hinges on your virtue and integrity, qualities no external critic can revoke without your permission. Furthermore, practicing mindful reflection helps you remain balanced when criticism arises. Take a moment to breathe, recall your core principles, and decide if the critique is warranted. This measured response contrasts with the typical rush to defend or retaliate. Over time, adopting such calm inquiry fosters respect from others, who see you as someone who can handle feedback gracefully. In sum, handling criticism in the spirit of Epictetus protects you from being tossed about by random opinions. You harness useful feedback for growth, dismiss empty attacks, and keep your sense of self steady. This resilience ensures that negative remarks, whether valid or not, do not erode your confidence, enabling you to stay focused on your higher purpose rather than agonizing over each passing judgment. 4. Transforming offense. One hallmark of Epictetus's Stoicism is the ability to transform offense into an opportunity for self-mastery. Being offended often arises from interpreting someone's words or actions as a personal attack. Yet Epictetus emphasized that these offenses are powerless unless we internalize them. By shifting your perspective, you convert moments of potential anger or hurt into exercises in patience, empathy, or greater clarity. The first step is recognizing the interpretative nature of offense. When someone makes a derogatory comment, you might instantly feel disrespected. But Epictetus would remind you that the comment itself is neutral until you assign meaning to it. By pausing, you create a buffer between stimulus and response. You can question, is this insult truly about me, or is it an expression of their ignorance, stress, or frustration? This mental space helps you determine a measured reaction rather than a reflexive one. Second, transforming offense involves focusing on what is within your control, your response, rather than what is not, the offender's behavior. If a colleague criticizes your approach publicly, you can respond calmly. I'd like to understand your concerns better. Can you clarify? Such composure not only safeguards your inner peace, but may also diffuse tension. The critic might soften upon seeing you're open to discussion rather than retaliation. Another angle is self-reflection. Sometimes we bristle at comments that expose a truth we don't want to face. Epictetus might urge you to check if the offense you feel stems from pride or from the reality that the comment hits home. If the remark contains a kernel of truth, perhaps you were indeed careless in some aspect. Acknowledging it can turn a jab into a catalyst for improvement. This honesty transforms offense into constructive momentum. Additionally, keep in mind that offense can escalate conflicts unnecessarily. When you react with anger, the other party often mirrors your hostility, and the cycle intensifies. By staying composed, you demonstrate a refusal to be dragged into an emotional storm. Over time, this stance can shift the dynamic of your relationships. People learn that provoking you yields little drama, eventually diminishing their attempts at offensive behavior. In essence, transforming offense means reclaiming your power to choose how you interpret and respond to negative interactions. Rather than feeling victimized, you become an active participant in shaping the outcome. Guided by Epictetus's philosophy, you employ each instance of offense as a practice ground for your virtues: calm reasoning, emotional restraint, and humility. solidifying an unshakable inner stability amidst life's inevitable provocations. 5. Overcoming fear and shame. Fear and shame are two potent emotions that can destabilize even the most determined individual. Epictetus identified them as obstacles to living in accordance with reason and virtue. By learning to regulate these emotions, you remove a major source of external influence on your state of mind. Fear often distorts perception, leading you to shrink from challenges or overreact to potential risks. Shame, meanwhile, can paralyze you with guilt or self-reproach, preventing constructive forward movement. The Stoic approach to fear involves assessing whether the danger is real or imagined. For instance, fear of public speaking might be rooted in an exaggerated belief that a single misstep could ruin your reputation. Epictetus would invite you to see that while mistakes might be embarrassing, they are rarely catastrophic. By confronting your fears gradually, perhaps speaking in front of a small group first, you gain evidence that your dread is disproportionate. This incremental process recalibrates your responses, helping you stand firm rather than cowering under the weight of anxiety. Regarding shame, Stoics underscore the importance of recognizing that all humans err. Feeling remorse for genuine wrongdoing can be productive if it spurs you to amend your behavior. But unrelenting shame often stems from unrealistic expectations of perfection or from conflating a single mistake with your entire identity. Epictetus suggests focusing on corrective action. If you regret a hurtful word, apologize and strive not to repeat it. If you feel shame about your lack of knowledge on a subject, commit to study. By channeling remorse into purposeful change, you transform it from an emotional burden into a catalyst for growth. What's more, when fear or shame stems from external judgments, like being ridiculed for a perceived flaw, Epictetus reminds you that other people's opinions lie outside your control. You maintain your integrity by acting according to your principles, regardless of potential derision. This stance frees you from the shackles of public opinion, enabling you to pursue your goals without the constant dread of social ridicule. Finally, practicing self-compassion complements this process. Accepting your own fallibility doesn't mean you condone wrongdoing. It means you acknowledge that growth often comes through trial, error, and correction. By balancing personal accountability with a measure of grace, you diffuse the destructive impact of fear and shame. In so doing, you become more resilient to life's challenges, embodying Epictetus's vision of a person guided by reason rather than crippled by debilitating emotions. 6. Anticipating obstacles. A key tactic in Epictetus's teachings is premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils, where you proactively envision potential hurdles before they happen. This practice doesn't invite pessimism. Rather, it equips you with a mental blueprint for how to respond effectively when adversity strikes. By rehearsing worst-case scenarios in your mind, you reduce the shock factor if they come to pass, and thus maintain emotional stability. For instance, if you're preparing for a job interview, consider the possibility of tough questions or an unexpected curveball. When you visualize your composed reaction, answering calmly or admitting you don't know but will follow up, you remove much of the fear and anxiety. Epictetus would argue that this mental preparation allows you to act with reason rather than panic, ensuring you remain unruffled even if real challenges resemble the ones you rehearsed. Similarly, in personal relationships, anticipating obstacles helps you brace for disagreements. If you know a certain topic often ignites conflict with a partner or friend, mentally walk through that scenario beforehand. Ask yourself, how can I express my viewpoint calmly? How will I respond if they raise their voice? This forethought enables you to navigate the conversation with measured confidence instead of impulsive reactions, aligning with the Stoic emphasis on rational self-governance. Another benefit is that anticipating obstacles fosters gratitude for moments when problems do not arise. When you realize how easily plans can go awry, traffic jams, technology failures, misunderstandings, you become more appreciative when events flow smoothly. This dual effect keeps you grounded in the reality that life is unpredictable while also enhancing your savoring of good fortune. Engaging in this exercise also boosts flexibility. Even if your imagined scenario doesn't exactly match the real event, you've practiced calmness under hypothetical pressure. That mental training can be applied to a variety of unforeseen challenges. You might not encounter the exact setback you visualized, but the discipline developed through negative visualization transfers to other difficulties, fortifying your resilience overall. Ultimately, anticipating obstacles exemplifies Epictetus's principle of staying ready, so that external changes or disruptions can't destabilize your inner peace. By preemptively guiding your mind through potential turbulence, you ensure that your emotional equilibrium and ability to act with virtue remain intact, even when faced with life's inevitable surprises. 7. Inner strength and response. Epictetus asserted that genuine strength flows from internal resolve, not from physical prowess or social standing. This principle holds that your core power lies in how you choose to react to situations, regardless of external pressures. Adversity can't truly harm you unless you relinquish your mindset to fear or discouragement. By nurturing inner strength, you maintain dignity and composure under conditions that would unnerve or break others. Building this inner strength begins with self-awareness. Recognize the habitual patterns that lead you astray, be it anger, envy, or impatience. Once identified, each challenge becomes a training ground. If a colleague mocks your work, you see it as an opportunity to practice restraint and clarity. Rather than retaliate or brood, you recall your Stoic commitment to self-control. Over time, these small acts of disciplined response accumulate into a robust inner fortitude. Crucially, inner strength thrives on consistent values. When faced with a moral dilemma or tempting shortcut, you align with your principles: honesty, responsibility, kindness, even if it entails short-term discomfort. Epictetus argued that forsaking virtue weakens you internally because you begin to doubt your own integrity. Conversely, each principled decision reaffirms self-respect, forming a shield against negative external factors. An essential aspect of inner strength is recognizing when and how to adapt. Stoics do not advocate stubbornness at the expense of reason. If conditions shift unexpectedly, you can remain mentally flexible while still adhering to core virtues. You might pivot your approach, compromise on logistical details, or revise a flawed assumption, but you do so without sacrificing your moral grounding. In relationships, this principle transforms conflicts into stages for demonstrating compassion and steadfastness rather than power plays. If someone close to you acts unfairly, inner strength offers the resilience to maintain your calm and uphold fairness. You neither fold under pressure nor lash out, thereby preserving the integrity of the bond. Even if the other person remains agitated, you sustain your equilibrium. And so Epictetus's teaching on inner strength and response reminds us that genuine security is anchored in the mind, not external circumstances. By steadfastly applying rational judgment and moral discipline to every challenge, you become less vulnerable to the emotional turbulence wrought by other people's moods or life's unpredictability. This unwavering core grants you a sense of peace and power that external forces cannot undermine. 8. Restraining actions. One of the underrated aspects of Epictetus's Stoicism is its emphasis on restraint, deliberately refraining from words or actions that could undermine your composure or harm relationships. While many philosophies encourage bold action, Stoics often counsel pause and reflection, advocating a strategic use of inaction. This restraint is not passivity, but the conscious choice to exercise self-control, especially when impulses threaten to derail your rational judgment. For instance, imagine you've received an insulting email from a client. Instead of firing back an equally harsh response, Stoicism suggests pausing. By delaying your reaction, maybe you wait an hour or even a day, you allow time for cooler reasoning. You might then see the bigger picture. An aggressive reply might escalate the conflict, jeopardizing future collaboration. Instead, you address their concerns calmly and factually. This measured response serves you better than a hasty emotional outburst. Restraint also manifests in setting boundaries for your own good. Epictetus taught that it's beneficial to avoid temptations that erode virtue or mental clarity. If you struggle with addictive behaviors, be it social media overuse, habitual complaining, or overspending, resolving to restrain those impulses creates room for healthier habits. This form of discipline ensures that outside influences have a diminished hold on your well-being. Additionally, Stoic restraint fosters diplomacy in social situations. Sometimes, it's wiser to remain silent if your words can't improve the moment or might inflame tensions. Restraint means stepping away from gossip or resisting the urge to correct every minor inaccuracy in a conversation. While honesty is crucial, Stoics urge you to weigh the potential harm or benefit before speaking. Such discernment preserves harmony and keeps you from engaging in fruitless disputes. Far from limiting freedom, this self-imposed restraint actually expands it. By not succumbing to every impulse, you maintain autonomy over your choices. Instead of being reactive, pushed and pulled by external triggers, you act according to reasoned priorities. Over time, you gain confidence in your ability to remain the captain of your emotional ship, steering clear of storms stirred up by fleeting impulses. Epictetus's teaching on restraining actions underscores the power of measured inaction. Whether it's refraining from a hasty reply or curbing a self-defeating habit, you gain emotional resilience and protect your energy for pursuits aligned with virtue. This restraint, combined with thoughtful action when truly warranted, forms a dynamic approach to life that keeps external tumult from disturbing your inner poise. 9. The power of acceptance. At first glance, acceptance might be misconstrued as resignation or passivity. However, in Epictetus's Stoic framework, acceptance is a proactive stance. It involves recognizing reality, both external events and personal limitations, and choosing to respond with equanimity instead of denial or rage. By accepting life as it is, you liberate yourself from futile struggles, focusing instead on what can be changed or navigated skillfully. Epictetus advocated that railing against the inevitable, such as aging, death, or unforeseen accidents, only compounds suffering. Imagine being stuck in a traffic jam that makes you late for an important meeting. Anger or panic does nothing to dissolve the congestion. It merely distresses you further. Accepting the situation doesn't mean you're pleased about it. Rather, you acknowledge the fact traffic is immovable right now and decide how to best manage the circumstances, maybe calling ahead, reviewing documents in the car, or practicing calming techniques. Acceptance also fosters emotional resilience in relationships. People are fallible, and will sometimes hurt or disappoint you. While you might address the issue or set boundaries, you also accept that you cannot fully control others' actions or personalities. This perspective lessens the sting of betrayal or annoyance as you understand that humans are prone to errors. Acceptance doesn't block your ability to seek resolution. It merely prevents you from being blindsided by unrealistic expectations. In addition, acceptance ties closely to gratitude. When you stop yearning for a different reality, you begin noticing small blessings in the current one. Epictetus suggested that by not battling the flow of life, you open space for appreciation. That acceptance can shift your mindset from perpetual dissatisfaction to a calmer sense of balance. You become more aware of what you do have: health, supportive friends, lessons from setbacks, instead of obsessing over what's missing. And finally, practicing acceptance clarifies your sphere of control. If something lies beyond your direct influence, like economic downturns, other people's decisions, or certain natural events, resisting it is futile. In acknowledging this boundary, you conserve energy for constructive actions within your scope. This approach merges humility, recognizing limits, with pragmatism, focusing on viable solutions. By living in harmony with how things are, rather than how you wish they were, you minimize internal friction and remain poised even amidst chaos. 10. Living according to nature. Epictetus's Stoicism culminates in the principle of living according to nature, understanding and aligning with both your individual nature as a rational being and the broader natural order. On a personal level, this means recognizing your capacity for reason and virtue, then acting consistently with those faculties. When you navigate life guided by reason, you honor your innate potential for wisdom, self-discipline, and empathy. Simultaneously, living according to nature implies harmonizing with the world around you. Instead of resisting life's inevitable cycles, birth and death, change and decay, you accept them as part of a grander design. Epictetus suggested that human suffering often springs from the clash between our expectations and reality. If you expect to never face adversity, you live at odds with nature's unpredictability. Aligning with nature involves embracing the fact that life will have hardships, but also countless opportunities for growth. In practical terms, living according to nature shapes daily decisions. For instance, a rational assessment might reveal that constant overstimulation through social media or compulsive entertainment goes against the mind's need for stillness and reflection. Adjusting your habits to include moments of solitude or moderate use of technology respects your human nature, promoting clarity and well-being. Similarly, forging meaningful relationships or engaging in community service aligns with the social aspect of human existence, fulfilling your natural inclination toward cooperation. Moreover, Epictetus would emphasize the moral dimension of living according to nature. Humans possess the capacity for moral insight, distinguishing right from wrong. Failing to act ethically contradicts this inherent ability. Each time you choose honesty over deceit or generosity over selfishness, you fulfill your natural role as a rational, ethical agent in the world. This moral alignment brings a sense of purpose and contentment that fleeting pleasures cannot replicate. When you live according to nature, you guard against external upheavals. When you accept that change is the norm, jobs come and go, relationships evolve, fortunes shift. You resist the illusion of permanence. You adapt more gracefully to new circumstances because your internal stability isn't based on static conditions, but on a fluid understanding of life's natural ebbs and flows. By living according to nature, you develop a serene resilience, fully participating in the world's dynamism while remaining centered in your rational, virtuous essence. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear this. Let's strive to live better, more respectful lives. Until next time, stay strong and stay stoic.